Hello and welcome to Topsa. My name is William Lebowski, and today we're doing something different, really, than we ever have before. Me and rallying, it really doesn't mix. Having a second person in the seat next to me, it's just a danger for them, even if it's a fake virtual NPC. I'm only going to destroy them. But anyway, this is going to be some of the worst rally driving that you have ever seen in your life. It started off poorly in the pre-game before I even did any driving. I selected the wrong car accidentally. I meant to select a car that had a sequential gearbox because those were available in this class, but as I was scrolling through the options when I was going into the details of the Lancia, I accidentally selected it. And so not a bad choice. I mean, quite possibly the best choice, in fact. However, going from being used to driving GT3s, where you're just dealing with flappy paddles, going over curbs, etc., then jumping into a snowy stage in Sweden in a rally game, it's literally the exact opposite. And so, as you can imagine, this did not go well at all. However, this is now a couple weeks old. The third round is currently ongoing, shortly coming to an end at the end of this week as I'm speaking. I have yet to run my stage. It's going to go very poorly because it is Argentina. So yeah, just be prepared that this is some of the worst rally driving that you've ever seen. And a certain point after I stopped flipping for the nth time, I don't even know. I think, is this flip number one? That was flip number one. After I stopped flipping for maybe the fifth time consecutively, I realized that I need to just make it home safely at this point because I'm going to be faster just making it to the finish line is like a tortoise as opposed to trying to get there like the hare. And so at a certain point, it's going to be a real recovery drive. So sorry you have to watch that. Here's another flip, though, and another one. And back on our feet. Here we go. So yeah, this I'm laughing because you guys have to watch now. This is, I think, a 10-week-long event, and this is week number 1. And so you guys have many weeks of these types of videos to watch of me just flipping and bashing the car into things, which I'm really looking forward to because I actually was really enjoying this driving experience. Rallying is like nothing else, and I do think in my uneducated, unexperienced, don't even know which way is up rally experience, the DiRT Rally 2.0 does seem to be the best option on the market out there. But anyway, this is actually with a group of guys called the UeR, United Racing group of guys, and I know them and was introduced to them through F1 Control, if you might be familiar with our homie Jeff. A lot of these circles cross-pollinate, and as a result, they had a league going in for DiRT Rally 2.0, and it's one of the only leagues out there that is crossplay. So I'll take a try for it. F122 it's a complete no-go for me. That game was awful. It still is awful. But anyway, so that's a no-go for me. And I just kind of always assumed that DiRT Rally was a no-go for me. I own it, and at some point the DLC went on a super sale, so I bought it, and I bought a good. I either bought all of it or I bought I went into Google and typed in which ones are the best, or went to the best reviewed or something like that. And of course Sweden is one of them. It's because of the snow. I don't know how we got down this tangent about DiRT Rally 2.0. So yeah, I'm doing it with those UeR fellas, and we're having a great time. And the best thing about this championship is that we mostly discuss birding, which is really fascinating to me. It's something that I love, and it's not something that is been a direct love of mine, and not something that I knew was something that I loved. But when I think about it, I ask myself the question, when is the first time you've been birding, or when is the first time you thought birds were cool, or just one of those basic questions like that. And I realized the first time I moved to Hawaii was when I realized that birds were different there than anywhere else, and that they do different things and they exist differently. And since it's warm all year, you get these cool types of delicate birds and stuff like that because they don't have to weather a harsh winter. So I really was open my eyes to seeing how cool birds could be and the different varieties of birds that exist. Then I moved to Tennessee and I learned that giant birds of prey are really cool, and I started seeing those. And of course, being in East Tennessee, I would go to Dollywood and see bald eagles flying around overhead. So that's like a cool thing. But anyway, you also see hawks regularly. Just, if you live there, just driving around, maybe you're in the backyard, you'll see a hawk flying around overhead. There's giant birds of prey overhead, and those have always been really interesting. And I think any animal of prey, people, humans in general, have a fascination with, just because they're so much more powerful and so much stronger and so much more developed in this sense that we are completely removed from at this point from modern life. So birds of prey, giant animals of prey, really, really cool. But then when I moved to North Carolina during the pandemic, my mom really enjoyed, moved back into my parents' house after college during the pandemic, and she really enjoyed being on the porch and hanging out with just the birds that were there. And that's, really a mild climate, North Carolina. Pretty warm all year round, so you get a varied amount of different types of birds, and birds of, that have been different from the other areas I've lived in. So it was cool to see the different types of birds, but just cool to see them exist. And she had, bird houses and bird feeders, and so it was cool to just hang out there and watch them be there, be in existence, and just see what their life is like, so to say, see what a snapshot of that is like. And then also hummingbirds were the first time I was exposed to hummingbirds there, because she had a hummingbird feeder. And I thought for a lot of the time it just sat empty, but if you were patient enough, by patient I don't mean just sitting out there for an hour or so, I mean patient enough, like weeks, months, from very patient, and you're able to, sit there and wait, or notice and wait. Eventually you'll see a hummingbird out there. So then eventually seeing hummingbird at the hummingbird feeder was really cool. But all of and then going forward, I don't know, where am I going forward? So yeah, and today, currently I have, many bird houses and many bird feeders outside, and I really enjoy putting the seed, refilling the feeders, and putting the suet into the other suet feeders, and watching them feast on the food and hang out, and all the different types of birds in the pecking order. I didn't mean the pun with the pecking order. But the pecking order that exists between the birds and the food, it's interesting to see how that plays out. And so with the UeR guys, eventually we just started talking about birding in general. Or no, I'm sorry, it didn't start that simply, as if it ever does. Eventually, the Australians started making owl jokes. I guess owls are popular in Australia. I did not know that. So learn something new every day. And so owl jokes and owl memes became commonplace, and that was great fun, and they're still hilarious to this day. I'm telling you, they're top tier bird puns being bandied about, and I don't think that you're going to be able to get this anywhere else. So it really is just one of those amazing, one-of-a-kind times to be alive. I mean, can you imagine being alive, and not only alive at the same time that this is existing on UeR's Discord server, but to be present at the same time and in talks at the same time and in the UeR conversation with birding? I mean, just all of this, it's just a modern marvel, or not even a modern marvel. It's a history, it's a modern, gotta stop saying modern. It's a marvel of all history that this is even going on. So having a great ball discussing birding, and the amazing thing is that everybody seems to be deeply into birding. It's great because the other guys there are much more adept with ornithology than I am, and so it's incredible to see what all their birding setups is. So definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say about birding and what kind of bird experience you have. If you are interested at all in the topic or interested in a good movie, The Big Year, it stars Jack Black, Steve Martin, and Owen Wilson. The three of them are competitive birders against each other. But this is the end of our first stage. You can see our cars beat to hell, and I think that we're going to have there it is, our standing almost at the bottom, but not quite. Our goal for the rest of the season is to finish at least midway. We want to be 50% in the group. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.